Well, welcome back, everyone from the Wall Street Silver community. We have an incredibly special guest, our good friends from SD Bullion. We have James Anderson and Tyler from SD Bullion. How are you guys doing today?
Very well, Evan.
We're doing great. Thanks.
Awesome, awesome. So getting right into it, we want to appreciate you guys and say thank you for your donation to the community. It's a huge help because now this week we're talking to Lamar Advertising, finally getting the funds out from GoFundMe. So it's pretty exciting. James, do you want to get into absolutely everything with the movement and a little bit more? Just start the introduction for us.
Yeah. I was actually the first. I was very excited to be the first interviewee on your channel, and so I got the. That was late. That was early February, and so it was really cool, and it's really an honor to be here again, obviously, and it's helpful to be here with Tyler because Tyler's got the insights on what's going on the customer basis. So I think together we should be able to give the viewers a good idea of what's happening.
And Tyler, what do you see now happening with SD Bullion? Like, there's a lot of youth now getting into the market. The retail investor is waking up to silver. What do you see happening with the demand and pickup at SD Bullion and just in silver in general?
Yeah, the demand's been incredible over the last, I would say, year, from the start of COVID till today. Today, it's just been, I've never dreamed that we'd have this much business, this much growth so quickly, and to see the investors and especially the new investors come, the younger investors coming to the market to maybe buy their first ounce of silver, it's pretty rewarding. I mean, when we started this company in 2012, it was our goal to educate precious metal investors or people that haven't invested in precious metals before about the purpose, the reason why you might want to diversify into precious metals. So to see that much interest is it's rewarding because it feels like we've helped share the message of precious metals and getting people into the metal, and we're providing a service that's the lowest prices possible, which is unfortunately not that low of a spot right now with the amount of demand that everybody's seeing, and it's just crazy, the logistical issues and all the problems right now that COVID's created behind the scenes, all the different inflationary pressures, whether it be wage pressures or logistical nightmares when it comes to dealing with the carriers, USPS, FedEx, and UPS, and their issues that they're having, with the volume and people less people working, with the stimulus checks that are coming out in the mail to everybody. But I mean, it's a challenge, but that's the environment that you probably would have expected with precious metals doing as well as they are right now.
Now, Tyler, where do you see the next 3 to 6 months for SD Bullion? Do you see any type of delays, or do you see everything smooth sailing? Where do you see the next 3 to 6 months?
Right. So I think we shared with your readers over the weekend a message about kind of what we saw in the 1,000-ounce bar market. There's obviously we have competitors, and everybody does things differently. But for us, we recognized about a month ago that sovereign mint coins and we're going into shortage. The 1-ounce rounds have already been in shortage for a long time. So we said, hey, we're going to pick up some 1,000-ounce bars just to ensure that we have some sort of live silver available to sell. Now, there's no cheap silver right now, unfortunately. I mean, there's the market price, as your readers know on your Reddit group. There's the market price and there's a physical price, and right now they don't seem to be too close together. Mm-hmm. But the 1,000-ounce bars is we've acquired. I think, I don't know the exact number, but I know we sold through well over 50%. And I think 5 in the last 24 hours of the 11 1,000-ounce bars that I think were there Friday on the website. I don't really keep track of those because it's such a small percentage of our inventory. But I saw when I was browsing around the internet this weekend that people were keeping track of that page. And I mean, that was just a small percentage of the initial purchase, and now we're seeing those move, which is is I think it's going to continue. So back to your question of the next 3 to 6 months, I don't think it's going to get any better. And there's a couple things. Demand, I don't see going away. I mean, I would say that the Federal Reserve is going to change the way that they do business, and I don't see that happening. There's obviously the president and the government working on their social programs and increasing the debt that we have as a nation and the monetary supply. So I don't see that going away. And as far as the logistical issues I outlined, just a few minutes ago, that's probably not going away either. And what that does is it creates all sorts of bottlenecks with base materials that come from the mine into the mints, and then the mints to us to be able to ship it out to the retail investor or the different wholesalers or coin shops that purchase from us as well. So I don't see that going away anytime soon. And so I think we'll continue to see that we are still able to acquire 1,000-ounce bars. Now it's an elevated premium, but everything else is pretty much on 3-4 week delays from the time that we purchase it to the time that it arrives to us. And honestly, we're seeing some being told it's going to be 3 weeks and it turns into 4 or 4.5. So I don't think that's going to get any better. Sunshine Mint's having issues too. And I'm not sure if your readers are aware of that, but Sunshine Mint's in the process of a planned transition from their facility they've been at for a number of years in Idaho to Las Vegas.
Oh, really?
And they're having trouble with some different things. It's not going quite as smoothly as they wish. They're not taking any additional purchasing commitments from anybody, whether that be National Mints or us. I've been on calls with them, and I think we're not able to put in a new order till end of September or early October is the next time we're able to put in a new order. Now there's some orders that are in the pipeline still, so it's not like they're shutting down production, but anything that we want to say, like we have the popular Truth series, we have some other products that we purchased from them. If it hasn't been committed, if we haven't made that commitment to purchase it, we can't make another purchase right now until end of 2021, which is going to have a huge effect on, I think, the sovereign mint coins as well. It's Sunshine's Mint used by the U.S. Mint, but it's also used by many other sovereign mints in the world that use them for production. It's much cheaper for a silver product for them for other sovereign mint coins to contract a place like Sunshine Mint to produce it here in the United States than have to ship a silver item across the seas. So I think it's going to have an incredible amount of effect on the retail friendly products. Hopefully, we can keep the 1,000-ounce bars in stock, but as you know, the 1,000-ounce bars seem to be okay right now as well.
Now, before we get into any more questions, I kind of want to get into James and Tyler, how you guys started into SD Bullion. We'll start off with James. For our viewers who are new, how did you guys start into SD Bullion, or what got you into your career path, James, and then Tyler after?
And so I've been with SD Bullion for the last 3 years roughly. But I've been in this industry for over a dozen years roughly. And it was just kind of one thing after another, from being a boy learning about junk silver in my granddaddy's house to as I got older, getting involved with the Ron Paul campaign, and then eventually investing in precious metals myself, and getting to the point where I was paying so much attention to it, I figured I may as well work in the industry. And so one thing led to another, and I've worked with various wholesale and retail dealers throughout this past dozen years. And luckily, I got in touch with Tyler the last 3 years, and been working with him and the team there.
And Tyler?
So yeah, I got started. I was one of the co-founders. The other co-founder's name was John. We met each other in pharmacy school. So we graduated as pharmacists.
Right.
He was. We were in the computer lab one day, and I remember I was looking at like stocks and mutual funds, and he was looking at some things, and I had to lean over because he has his monitor turned a little bit sideways, and I was like, "What are you looking at?" And I was friends with him, so he's like, "Well, I'm looking at precious metals. What are you looking at?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm looking at stocks. Like, why would you want to invest in gold or silver? It doesn't return anything." And he explained his story of why, and I explained my whys, and we spent a significant amount of time together over the next like 3 or 4 years before I started realizing that what he was telling me made a lot of sense. So 2008 financial collapse happened, and it became really clear when he saw Warren Buffett getting special deals for stock options. So like everybody else was like, hey, can I sign up for that deal? You know, you could buy one stock because you send them $5 million and you get another option to buy one at half price, like in 3 months from now. Like why as a smaller investor, can't I sign up for that deal if I provide some sort of capital to you? Yeah. So, and in addition, silver and gold were just getting absolutely smashed. And it was reminding you of like March of last year. You had record demand, and you're always, and I have an MBA and I have PharmD, and you're always told that, okay, 6 to 8 months out is what the stock market's, you know, forecasting, right? Like the price, the demand or whatever the stock price is, it's supposed to be, you know, intelligently predicting what the value of it is in 6 and 8 months out in the future. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's like, no, there's no way that gold and silver should be getting smashed like this. There's no way. There's no silver. There's no silver to be found. How is this predicting 6 to 8 months out? Like it doesn't make any sense to me. The price is suppressed. And I was talking to some financial advisors about it. They're like, well, Tyler, yeah, you're right. Nothing makes sense. That's why you should stay away from it. And I'm like, no, nothing makes sense. That's why we should buy it. And, you know, that's when I made my first investment personally into precious metals. So I've been a believer ever since. And I always wanted to own my own business one day. So about 3 or 4 years after I made my first investment, I talked the other co-founder into starting, you know, SD Bullion. And obviously we grew it from the ground floor up. We took on zero debt. Our initial investment into the business was we both threw in a box of Silver Eagles each, so 500 ounces each. That's it. And then we only had 10 products for sale on our website. So I shared with we shared with your readers this weekend that we're debt free. Wow. And the only way we were able to do that was basically started small. I mean, we're one of the 3 largest ones now, but we only had 10 products initially for people to purchase. Wow. Less than 10. So every time we got a profit from selling the coin or the bar that we had in stock, we would reinvest that into more metal and more metal and more metal. And the advantage of that is you don't have to pay anybody interest. You have more profits overall. And in the meantime, we're still pharmacists as our day jobs. So of course we're well out of our day jobs now as pharmacists. And you know, we've been for, I don't know, 5, 6 years now, but that's kind of how we got started. That's how I got started in precious metals. And yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a difference between us as precious metal, you know, gurus, and some other people that kind of treat it just as a product on the shelf at a grocery store.
Well, that's pretty incredible. We have Jim Lewis from the Wall Street Silver community just joined us in. Jim, how you doing?
I'm good.
You want to get in some questions for James and Tyler?
Is James out in the jungle? I hear birds chirping in the background there.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Hey. No, so I'm actually a customer of SD Bullion. I got my first monster box from you guys back in January. It was actually right before all that big Silversqueeze stuff started. I put in an order for a monster box because I sort of saw what was coming. Nice. And what the one plug I really have for SD Bullion is I got in my order before that big bump in, you know. Silver was, I think, at 25 and made that run to 30. And the premiums just jumped and went through the roof. And my order was made before that happened. And then I made the payment after that happened. And you guys still honored it. And I was like so impressed because I was hearing so many other places were canceling orders and stuff like that. And I was just really grateful that you. And then, you know, I was talking with your other guy, Chase, and he told me, you're hedged. So you guys are sort of neutral to the changes in the price of silver, right? So you guys don't really care. You're not making money on whether silver goes up or down. You guys sort of try to stay neutral on these things so that you don't get killed by big moves in the price, right?
Well, yeah, that is a little bit of a difference between us and other establishments. So are we hedged? Yes, but our hedging is entirely different than most other places you find out there. And I can give a couple examples. It is a little bit more complex for a lot of people to understand, but we've always been debt free. We started with 1,000, you know, Silver Eagles, Literally 1,000 silver eagles. Our inventory is so much, so much bigger than that. And I've seen some posts about how much inventory we have, and I'm like, yeah, we have a lot. God's been great and provided financing needed. But if we have a hedge position of and we sell, call it 100 ounces, we'll go out and replace that 100 ounces by purchasing more metal. It maintains our net asset value in precious metals. So say we have 100,000 ounces of silver. If we sell 5,000, we go out buy 5,000. If we sell 10,000, we go buy 10,000. And our volume is so high, the equivalent of a futures contract, even though we don't trade futures, we can move through 5,000 ounces in several minutes, 15, 20 minutes tops. And we'll be continuously replenishing our inventory to get to our target position. And our target position is defined as a position that we set based off our profits. We reinvest our profits into more inventory continuously, and we maintain a certain amount of dollars in to cover accounts receivable and payroll. So if silver does go down, the net asset value in dollar terms does go down, but our ounce position does not change.
Gotcha.
And if you, as a customer from us, and you did not pay, and there was an uptick, of course, when you had a bunch of new customers coming to the market at the end of January, when you had that one weekend where everybody was buying gold and silver, right? Mm-hmm. Especially silver. And then the price got smashed by a couple of dollars the next day. There was definitely some customers that were first-time customers, didn't know how the process worked, and they say, well, the price went down. I don't want to buy it anymore. Well, that if they do not pay us, we'd lose money. Now, if the price goes up, it's indifferent. As long as we get paid, we're fine, because we're maintaining a net asset position in silver or gold. If it goes up and people cancel, technically we have a net gain. But the way we look at it is like, we're unique in that way. If you compare it to other industries, like another commodity, like say like farm ground, right? I look at it like that, where farmers are constantly purchasing more farm ground. Do you know any farmers that are hedging their land value for dollars? Like, do they go out and of course they might do some stuff with their corn or their wheat or their beans, but they're not thinking that their land value is going to go down. And if you look at any period in the last 100 years, any sizable period, I mean, a gold ounce, you've had 95% plus depreciation of a gold ounce versus a dollar bill. Mm-hmm. And if SD Bullion wants to be around for the next 100 years, why would we want our company denominated in US dollars, when if history says, well, if you maintain at least a percentage of your business in gold and silver ounces, well, you're going to maintain your purchasing power. Your purchasing power is going to continuously go down if you're hedged in dollars. That's different than a lot of our competitors. We think that's intelligent because of data that backs it for the last 100,000, 2,000 years. That gold and silver appreciate where a dollar or fiat currency decreases.
Not hedging in the futures market, because it was my understanding that most bullion dealers do that. So thank you for that explanation.
They do.
Yeah, on how you guys function, because I think a lot of our members, they're thinking, they're not quite understanding the mechanics behind the scene of how you guys operate and where you get your supplies for. Like, some of our members are always asking questions like, why don't you guys just go stand for delivery on the Comex? And other people go in there and explain, the bullion dealers aren't really buying from Comex. You guys are buying from wholesalers, from the mints. You're buying from the national mints, right? U.S.
Right,
or the Austrian mint for the Philharmonicers or things like that. You're not buying from Comex for the 1,000-ounce bars, right?
Right. Well, yeah. So we spread out. We're purchasing from some direct mints, some wholesalers, some definitely direct on private mints. But about your question on 1,000-ounce bars, the mechanics of 1,000-ounce bars are incredibly complex. Like, if you want to take delivery of 1,000-ounce bars, for example, you don't even get to pick the Comex depository that you take delivery from. It could be the person that you're purchasing from tells you what depository is going to be. So there's still 1,000-ounce bars that are on the market, and at this stage of the game, the Comex bars that are on the market, we feel like it's just not worth the headache, so to speak, of going through that process on a normal basis, taking delivery. Now, is it something that we are preparing to do into the future? I mean, absolutely, we're looking into that, because if this market continues to get tight, you know, if we have to shift some of our inventory position, we're purchasing well enough inventory to make it worth our while if we're doing it in bulk and we see demand for it to continue to increase. So we're looking into those angles. But you know, from a retail investor, 1,000-ounce bars sometimes are not always the best fit for them. Yeah, we're definitely purchasing and selling based on the ounce of the bar, but they're very rarely are they 1,000 ounces on you know, on the dot. They have some variants. So you'll see some bars listed right now on SD Bullion. I believe we have 5 or 6 left, and we're selling them for the exact ounces they are. You're not paying for 1,000 ounces. You're paying for 997 ounces or 995 ounces, whatever that bar weighs, right? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I think it's you know, for us to not be in that futures market unless we're trying to take delivery is a big deal, because most people are out there purchasing more inventory into the future and they're shorting the contract. So I call that price suppression, because the shorts are kind of going, they're going down to the mine. You know, it's constantly shorting all the way down to the mine.
Interesting. How tight are things right now? Are you having trouble finding inventory?
No, I mean, no, it's actually way harder than last February. I mean, people are willing to, and it's a different story. Like last February, we were being told, hey, no, there is plenty of silver out there. There's plenty of gold out there. It's just in the wrong places, and we can't logistically move it around. And that was the story last year. The story this time around is way different. And you know, you're trying to get your finger on the pulse, and I'm constantly talking to our traders and you know, talking to the CEOs of other, you know, mints and national mints and suppliers, and trying to ask them what's going on and trying to get as much data that I can outside of what I have here at SD Bullion. And the story this time around is that the demand is just exceeding the production capacity, and I've heard some talks about base metal. But it's totally overwhelming the system with demand. Unlike last year, which is just blaming it on logistics. This time around, the demand is causing this, and it's, yes, we can't purchase, but it's 3 or 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out, and often it's a week or 2 weeks beyond what we're anticipating it to be. So it's not necessarily it's not a fun market when it comes down to dealing with customers. We want to be able to sell to customers, and we're trying to be as conservative on our delay dates as possible.
James, what's going on there? You got a riot?
Yeah, James, what's happening over there?
James, the natives are restless, man.
Yeah, I got is that my mute button? I'm trying to press it. I mean, it didn't work.
Don't worry, we'll fix this in post edit, James. Don't worry about it.
Cool.
That's good. So where do you?
Or maybe I'll leave it in. It's pretty funny.
James and Tyler, where do you guys see crypto play a role in the future of the Great Reset? We'll start off with James.
You know, crypto is a good conditioning program, I think, right now for the CBDC grid that's about to be placed on everybody around the world. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I'm sure there'll be some problems in crypto land, and you'll see Bitcoin. It could go to 6 figures, but at some point there'll probably be some problem with the code, and everybody will be, you know, it'll be a real travesty, I think, ultimately. These people that believe Bitcoin is going to be here for decades to come, I have doubts. So I'm not really a big Bitcoin bull. You could speculate in it and scalp trade it if you want. And it's been a really good scalp trade for Paul Tudor Jones when he came around. I made a video on that, but when he came around, that was about a year ago, roughly. It was right 9,000 Bitcoin. So it's been a good scalp trade for people. It's around 63 now. It's just something that it's not something I believe in. And so why would I buy it? I see it as being something for a scalp trade. It could work, but a long-term hodl, I don't agree. I think there's going to be some issues at some point because the BIS, it's in their interest to do something down the line to thwart the competition. And CBDC is what they want, and that's what they're going to get. I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're coming to that. And we're talking about the biggest, most powerful central banks in the world, backed by their governments and their violence, the monopoly on violence that they have, and the monopoly on a lot of intelligent people who know how to break code and who know how to break exchanges. So the idea that this Bitcoin's just going to run off and, you know, they'll have a separate society at some point, I don't buy it. I think eventually there'll be a real attack on that system. But in the meantime, you can scalp trade it, just position it correctly. That's all. If you're going to go into Bitcoin, don't be 100%. That's the only suggestion I'd make. I'm irresponsibly long in bullion, so of course I have my bias, and so some people may not agree. I'm sure a lot of people out there have Bitcoin and have done very well in it. That's great. Just scalp trade it. I don't suggest hodling it for the rest of your life. I think there'll be problems.
I like that phrase, irresponsibly long.
And Tyler?
Well, you know, I like James. I do think it's an interesting educational tool for what I inevitably see people becoming more off cryptos into precious metals. Could be wrong, and absolutely. You know, I remember talking about this in 2012 or 13 about Bitcoin and way in the early stages, and I was like, well, I like the concept. I like the concept a lot. Being able to actually, you know, purchase something online and it'd be a little bit more easy to be able to trade. But at the same time, there's so much risk with stuff being in the online system. I mean, whether it comes to taxation or whether that comes down to controls. I mean, the privacy aspects of Bitcoin, I think most people have kind of thrown that out the window that they can't kind of trace it, or they can't track it, or they can't tax it. And so I like having, you know, I'm a big precious metal guy. I've always owned precious metals. I owned precious metals before I started, and I have not diversified into cryptocurrency. But there's definitely some things I like about it. But I just keep on remembering about, you know, the government and the regulation and how they can control things so easily when it's on the grid compared to in your possession. And that's why I always go back to like precious metals. I mean, if I was in cryptocurrency back when I first looked at it, I mean, of course, I'd probably be retired right now, right? But at the same time, it's not like precious metal prices have gone down from my entry point. They've gone up from when I started in 2008, 2009. As long as you're dollar cost averaging in precious metals, no, you're not getting rich, at least as it stands today. But I mean, I'm still very bullish on precious metal prices overall, especially if we can continue to drain the silver out of the system to see, you know, potentially real prices in the future.
Well, you know, Tyler, silver's going to 1,000, so you are going to be able to retire. So just so you know, and I won't tolerate any discussion otherwise on this channel. So just be aware of that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in our forums that they don't quite understand that you guys are indifferent whether price goes. You guys make your money not from the price going up or down. You're more of a traditional business. You buy from a wholesaler and you sell to retail, and you're fine whether the price goes up to 30 or 40 or 50. You guys are not. Your type of business is not engaged in any sort of manipulation. You're just there to buy from one party and sell to another. You're just the middle presence in that process, right, with the storage vaults and the e-commerce websites.
Yeah, the profits that we generate are the difference between the premium that we acquire the products for, whether that be a supplier or a customer selling back to us, and then what we turn around and sell it onto the website. We're indifferent on a trade whether the price of the actual spot price goes up or down. Now, we are, like I said, a portion of our assets are denominated in precious metals. So, of course, we want the precious metals to go up over time. Yeah. But the actual profit per transaction is all based on the premium that we acquired the product at, and then what we're able to turn around and sell it to the customer at.
And I guess something we should also make clear is you guys are paying, you know, everyone in our forum is always complaining about the high premiums right now, but you guys are paying high premiums also from your suppliers. I mean, you don't get silver at spot. You're paying significantly over spot from your sources, aren't you?
Yes, it is a misconception of a first-time customer, especially, is that they think that we're purchasing at spot price. And there's you know, when you're buying new products from sovereign mints or wholesalers or retailers, you're never buying at spot price. You're always buying at a price over spot to account for the energy, to going into striking and the die production, the striking cost, the base metal price, and then the shipping logistical price of getting it to our facility so that we can sell it to the customer. Even sovereign mint, even sovereign mints are increasing their price. Like some of the sovereign mints we purchase from directly, some of them we do not purchase directly. They're increasing their price themselves, and so they're ignoring this fake CPI data that's coming out of the U.S. and other governments around the world saying that, hey, there's no inflation. There's obviously inflation because they're increasing the price. So either they're buying it at a higher price, the base metal, or they have to account for prices. I think it's both. I think everybody's the inflation right now, I think, is way higher than what they're advertising, and the real rates are, it makes precious metals attractive, because I hear this idea that maybe you should go buy a 30-year treasury or a 15 or 10-year treasury and make a return of 1 or 1.5 or 2% on your money. Well, the inflation is going up 8-10%. I mean, I don't know what data they're looking at, but they're excluding all the data that actually matters.
Now, again, we appreciate so much the donation to the community. The next step for everything with the community is, we're just to let everybody know in the Wall Street Silver community, is we're doing the billboards. We're going to set up the dates, live dates with Lamar advertising, so everyone can get that all. We'll put it on the Reddit forum right there, all the dates, all the locations. And we're just discussing that this week with Lamar advertising. So that's going to be exciting. And
thank you very much, Tyler, and thank Chase. I know Chase was involved in that also.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your $5,000 donation to the cause. We really appreciate it. We're really hoping to raise awareness to a more broader community. And it's not just going to be billboards. We're hoping that a lot of our members will go, take selfies at these billboards, and then they'll upload them to social media. And there'll be a whole social media angle after the billboards that, gets more dollar for the value about what's going on.
Yeah, that's going to be the cheapest return on the buck, is people flooding the social media with pictures of it.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely appreciate what you guys are doing in your community. It's been awesome to see how fast you've grown, on Reddit, and seeing all the excitement that's coming back into the market, because there was a lull there, I would say, over the last 2 or 3 years prior to this COVID event happening, where everybody was so burnt out of precious metals. It seemed like everybody had been in the market for 10 years, and silver was stuck below 20, and and everybody was kind of out of energy. But to see your community grow as fast as you have, and to see the excitement come back into the precious metal industries is huge. And we need some of those newer investors, the younger investors, to come in and talk to everybody and talk to people around them about precious metals. The billboards are going to be an awesome thing, I think, for this precious metal market. It's going to educate people that are not thinking about precious metals about potentially making them think about investing in precious metals. And so we're really excited to partner with your community and to continue to partner going forward.
When you talk with your customers, your bigger customers, are you hearing any fears about the level of debt that's just being generated by our government, and the fears about the value of their wealth or their assets, their fiat assets anyways, losing value? Is that the primary motivation from your customers for why they're buying more lately?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we started SD Bullion, we knew Silver Eagles, we knew Silver Maples, we knew rounds, right? And that's what these new people are. That's what big money's buying. The big money's not buying your limited mintage or your collectibles. At least coming through SD Bullion, we're based on selling bullion at the lowest prices and high quantities. So those big money people. There seems to be trends on what days they enter the market. They tend to be a little bit more, I don't know if the word's smarter, but they definitely are coming in at the same time in terms of what they're looking at from a statistical standpoint on the financial markets. We'll see orders come in for 6-7 figures, and they'll be several over a period of a couple hours, or definitely within a day. And we're always seeing six figures come through pretty much every day at SD Bullion. But to see multiple ones come through over a couple hours, you are seeing things happen, and big money tends to come in around the same time. And when it does come in, it has a big impact on obviously our inventory, depending on the size of the purchase, right? I mean, even if it eats up 5% of our inventory, it's still something to think about. But this market's incredibly tiny, and I think that's something that most people don't appreciate. When we go to replace all that inventory on our shelves from a person coming in and buying a 7-figure order, if they're specific and targeting one specific product, we can have an impact on that product across pretty much every available source that we purchased from that are major sources. We can see premium bumps of 5 cents, for example, on silver ounces just from a 7-figure order coming in. Wow. and targeting a specific product.
Well, we've heard from some other bullion dealers that gold is getting it's not just silver, right? That gold is actually getting much more difficult for you guys to source. I mean, I think Andy Scheckman was even saying gold is more difficult than silver lately. Would you concur, or what are you seeing?
I wouldn't say it's more difficult yet, but we definitely are seeing tightening in gold as well. It depends on the product, of course, and some products are tied to the specific mint being an issue. There's still some gold products that I'm able to buy on, 3-5 days, a week delay, whereas on the silver side, there's from a sovereign mint coin perspective, I don't think there is a single product from a sovereign mint coin product that I could go out there that are really a bullion item and go out there and source it for less than like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So I still think silver is much more tighter than gold right now. But we are seeing a big increase in gold sales as well. It seems to be like this every time a shortage exists. The first item that always absorbs the demand or people target is the 90% silver. So there's no more 90% silver available to be produced. And the first item that gets tight, I mean, sometimes 90% can be purchased. That's the one item that can be purchased at spot during a slow market. Sometimes it can be purchased at a spot on a slow market. And then the next week or the next month, when things get incredibly tight, I mean, it could go for $6 or $7 over spot because you just can't create more of it, right? Then it goes to Silver Eagles. Silver Eagles are usually the next thing that show a little bit of tightness. And then it can sometimes go to the rounds around the same time as the Eagles. And then it goes to the other sovereign mint coins. And then once it gets to that level, usually it goes to gold from what we've seen in the past, right? So they buy the 90%, then they go buy the rounds of the Silver Eagles, then they go buy the other sovereign mint coins of silver, and then the gold starts getting pinched. And we're starting to see, now that silver is so pinched, we're starting to see some demand increase in gold, is for sure.
And just speaking real quickly to the Gold Eagles, I see data all the time based on auction websites that are available that people use to sell Gold Eagles. And Gold Eagles just yesterday were still over $2,000 an ounce on, for instance, eBay. Wow. People selling onesie twosies. And you got wholesalers out there bidding 5.5% over spot for Gold Eagles in volume because that's how low they are because the U.S. Mint shut down right now. So there's some serious tightness on the gold side. It is legit. It's real.
Jim, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think it's been a great conversation about what's going on in the market, and I really want to appreciate, thank you guys for coming and sharing what you're observing. I think a lot of our members don't really get the inside and out of what's going on, and these types of videos where we can get you guys to come join us and talk openly about it. It's very helpful for people to understand.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone from the Wall Street Silver community. Again, thank you so much, Tyler and James Anderson from SD Bullion. Thank you, Jim Lewis from the Wall Street Silver community. And we hope to do this again with you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.